I'm going to talk about the movie Possum, and there won't be spoilers, so enjoy. We've been very, very anxious to watch Possum. My husband is a huge fan of Matthew Holness, so when we saw it on pre-order, we were really like, yes, 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 yes. Finally had a chance to watch it the other day, and it is interesting. The main character, he's called Philip, and he is a puppet maker, and he has a puppet called Possum, who is based on a poem that he wrote when he was a young boy. And the whole movie, he's trying to destroy Possum, and in doing so, he's confronted with things from his past that he finally has to deal with. The soundtrack was very unique, and it fit the movie really well. It was full of noises and full of sounds that were disturbing and creepy. It was a very bleak weather, was always very, very bleak and dark, and it looked cold and inviting, which I also think works for this kind of subject. The thing was very dirty. There's basically two main characters, Philip and his stepdad slash uncle, Maurice, and they're both really dirty. The house that they're in is abandoned. It doesn't look very hospitable. The kind of house that you want to go in. But that really works. It all really sets the scene for a horror. What I think really works is the fact that yes, it is a horror movie, but it's not full of gore. It's not full of really explicit, disturbing images. Awesome, and it has really creepy imagery because you slowly see what Possum looks like. It is just really, really disturbing, and the way that they place the puppet in the scenes is really creepy. I have to say, I did have some really weird dreams that night after watching it. It did come back in the dreams to sort of haunt me a bit, but I guess it works, doesn't it? 'Cause I had a bit of nightmares about it. The thing that I found a bit difficult to get was exactly what happened to him when he was a young man. The full picture is not really there, so I guess you are supposed to fill in the blanks with your own ideas. And at certain points he talks about things that happened to him when he was a young boy, because there are only two main characters. They don't like each other, so there aren't that many dialogues. And I personally found that they talked really hard to understand sometimes. It could just be me, or it could just be something with the sound or with the way that they were talking. You know, not necessarily their accents, but the way that their voices were being projected somehow. Maybe that's why I didn't really get a lot of things. What was cool was how it was filmed as if it was like a 70s, 60s or 70s movie. It was very grainy, it wasn't that crisp, clear image. The outfits, they looked like they were timeless. In a way, there was nothing trendy. They didn't have cell phones. The TVs that appeared were old. So it was a bit timeless in that respect. Sort of when it takes place, because at some point he has diary, I think, from when he was a boy. That has the date. In terms of the visual aspect of it, it could be any time. Definitely England, but it looked very sort of stereotypically English weather, as well as the creepy background music that I've mentioned. You get bits of this Possum poem sprinkled throughout. It is really, really disturbing, creepy poem. There isn't too much of a linear theme. What kind of holds it together is the disappearance of a boy. Philip is disturbed by it because the TV will turn on with news about this boy being missing. Sort of time progresses with this boy being missing, and you see the police looking for clues and things. That's how time passes, rather than other things that would indicate time passing by. There is a room in the house. He's always tempted to go in, and the stepdad would say, "Going in?" That is as if snapping him out of it, and he walks away. You do get to find out what's behind the door, but I'm not gonna spoil that for you. The really creepy thing is that Possum doesn't like to be left where you leave him. There are lots of things where would leave Possum or the place in a room, then when he back, he has moved. And is it on his own? You don't really know. So it is really interesting because it makes you think. It was definitely good, and it was definitely a movie that I think I would watch again, not straight away for sure, but that I would watch again to see the bits that I think I missed, because it's the kind of movie that has a lot of things in between the lines that I think you would only catch maybe watching it a second time. If you like creepy, psychological, scary movies, I think you should definitely give Possum a try and maybe keep the lights on afterwards. It is, like I said, again, it's very creepy. It was really well made, and it had its own aesthetic to it that I think really works. Felt like everything had a purpose, the construction of it. It wasn't just thrown in, you know, music, the photography, characters, their clothes, the way they talked, the way they moved and walked is very interesting. Pay attention to that. Everything fit together really, really well. So if you're into that, if you're into that kind of creepy psychological movie, really give this a go. If you're not into that, go anyway. Maybe it will your mind. You know, I think we all watch things that make us think and make us challenge ourselves in a way. I don't know. I'm always challenging myself watching all these horror movies because I'm so terrified of them. Really give it a go. See you next time.